stories on this page for about a month now, and I feel like this is a good place to put this. I haven't told any of my friends or family because I'm afraid that they won't believe me. I really don't know what else to say, so I guess here it is. Towards the end of high school and into the beginning of my college years, I worked at a little, independently owned garden store. Being in Littleton, Colorado, there are a few small businesses, but major chain stores and shops have been taking over recently. So, this garden store was kind of a hole in the wall, but we managed to stay busy enough to stay in business, and we had lots of regulars. I saw my fair share of crazies, just as anyone working in retail does. Though, I'm sure no one has had this experience. There was this one regular who was always off. She was very different from any of our other regular customers. She came in at least twice a week, arriving in a white, dirty minivan, though many pieces were replaced with black rusty panels. She was probably in her late 60s, if not older. She reeked of cigarettes and chemicals, and everything she touched, she left dirt residue. Before I go on to her mannerisms, let me give you a description of what she looked like. She always had on the same outfit. A baggy polyester shirt with embroidered flowers, baggy suit pants, and white Crocs. Yes, Crocs. Before you scoff and ask how this is unsettling, just let me finish. She wore this outfit every time she came in. It was like she never took it off and never washed it. She was always covered in dirt. When she moved, I got strong whiffs of cigarettes and chemicals that made me gag. This description may sound laughable, but just the combination of everything and the air around her was unsettling. The air she carried around her was dense, almost suffocating. Even in the middle of the day, it gave me chills and made me sick to my stomach. Before I continue talking about this woman, it is important that I tell you about a coworker of mine. His name is Pete Hollin. Pete was an older gentleman who worked at the center with me. He was in his mid-70s and sarcastic. We got along well. Many of our regular customers always asked for him because he knew his stuff. She was one that always asked for him. She never actually paid for anything. She carried around a sales book that waitresses and businesses use. This sales book was just like everything else she owned, dirty and tattered. This is how she paid. She wrote what she got, totaled it up, and handed it to me. She never actually spoke in sentences, just mumbles. The only clear word I heard her speak was heat. The first time I checked her out and she did all this, I was freaked out and worried I was going to get in trouble for her not paying. I took the slip anyway and didn't say anything. My boss never said anything to me, so I just let it go. I'd give Pete the slip of paper and he would, for a split second, turn white, but then just nod and walk away. This happened every time. What kind of relationship did these two people have to where he would pay for whatever she got? I never got the answer to that. Though now, it doesn't really matter what kind of relationship they had. I was entering my senior year of college, and it was time for me to move on. I was working my last few weeks at the garden center, and it hit me. I had not wiped black fingerprints off my counter. I had not been handed a tattered slip of paper. I had not heard the soft mumble of Pete. I had done none of these things all week. Pete was walking up to the counter to stand in the front with a fan to cool down. It was the beginning of August, and it was quite warm out, so this wasn't unusual. I asked him about her. He looked puzzled and asked me who I was talking about. It was like he had no idea that a woman had been coming in here for years and leaving slips of paper for him. I dropped the conversation. Maybe it was just old age and he couldn't quite remember all of the women who came in asking for him. That had to be it, right? When the newest cashier came in to start her shift and in mine, I asked her about it too. She also had not noticed this woman's absence until I brought it up. I told her about my interaction with Pete, and she noted it as weird as well. I came to the same conclusion as me. Old age. For days after that, I checked all the local newspapers. I scanned the obituaries, but never saw her picture. There were a few entries that had no picture, but I didn't know her name, so there was no way for me to know it was her. Maybe she had died, and Pete just wanted to move past it and not dwell. He was too old to get stuck on a customer and stay down. He was the kind of man who knew he didn't dwell on the sad things, because he saw the bright side in everything. I accepted that as the explanation, and didn't think twice about it after that. What else could I do? After I quit my job at the garden center, I still went back to visit when I was home for a while. I would say hello to everyone and visit with people. Pete was still there, and he was still the same. It's been 2 years since then. I live in Boulder now, and I have a great job. I haven't been back, and I haven't really thought about the garden center. That's how life was, until last night. I saw her. I was laying in bed, and I got whiffs of that suffocating but familiar scent, cigarettes and chemicals. It intrigued me, but that innocent feeling did not last long. I soon felt a wave of uneasiness wash over me. I was sick to my stomach, and chills covered my entire body. I felt a presence behind me, and I knew that if I turned over, then I would see her. I told myself that I was being ridiculous, and willed myself to just wake up. I shut my eyes tight, I felt my head swirl, and when I opened them again, I felt okay. I sat up and reached over to my nightstand for my glass of water. My hand never reached the glass. I felt skinny fingers wrap around my wrist. Dread washed over me, and my breath caught in my throat. The suffocating smell and all the feelings from those years ago washed over me, and I was paralyzed. They were so much stronger than they were in the dream. I was terrified to look up, but I knew I had to. I turned my eyes up from my bed sheets and saw a pair of white, croc-clad feet. The dread grew and grew, and the uneasiness in my stomach intensified with every movement of my eye. I reached her face. Her face was gone. It was the most gruesome sight I had ever seen. The movies had nothing on this. Her face was bashed in, and it was unrecognizable. I was shocked, terrified, and whatever other emotions you can clump together. It was a stench that hit me next. It was the smell of rotting flesh with cigarettes and chemicals. It was more than suffocating. I wanted to vomit. That wasn't the only thing that was terrifying about her, though. She wasn't mumbling as she usually did when she came into the store all those years ago. She was silent. It seemed like I'd been staring at her forever. Time seemed to stand still. The longer I looked at her, the more I noticed. She wasn't opaque. She was almost translucent. I know what you're thinking. A ghost. Really? I know. But hear me out. I've been a skeptical believer my whole life when it came to the paranormal, because I'd never actually seen an entity clearly. If anything would make my belief in the paranormal solid, it would be this. I didn't know what to do. Should I struggle out of her grasp? Should I scream? Maybe if I shut my eyes like before, I would wake up and this would all just turn out to be a terrible nightmare. So that's what I did. Shut my eyes tight and counted to 10. When I no longer felt the pressure of her fingers on my wrist, I opened my eyes. She was gone. Well, her body was gone, but the putrid smell was still very present. I looked at the end of my bed, and she was there, again, just standing, except she looked different. Her face was whole again, and she was quite pretty. She looked at me through those pale green eyes, and her face was soft. She appeared to be the same age as when I saw her those years ago in the store, but maybe a little younger. The smell seemed to lift out of the air and dissipate. I was speechless. The whole feeling in the room went from uneasy and dense to calm and light. I couldn't help the words that came out of my mouth next. What happened to you? She smiled at me and said one word. Pete. Faster than she had come, she was gone. I was dumbfounded and just stuck in place. I had no idea what to think. When my muscles figured out how to move again, I just looked at my clock. 4 a.m. The next thing I did was grab my phone and immediately found the number of the girl who I worked with my last week there. Thankfully, I still had her number, and I texted her immediately, asking if she remembered the strange woman who came in and left a bill for Pete. I wasn't expecting a quick response, but God must have been on my side because she answered almost immediately. She just sent a simple, "Who?" She had no idea who I was talking about. She explained that she had never seen a woman like that while working there. Not back then, and not now. It is currently 6 a.m., and I am writing this. I have no idea what to do. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like I know exactly what happened. As soon as she said his name, that I knew. All the information of what happened to her entered my brain. He had killed her. She was his wife. Her name was Sasha Hollin. They were happy for most of the years they were married, but one night, he just lost it. He was intoxicated and admitted that he was suffering in the marriage and that she was insufferable. She tried to calm him down, but they only made him angrier. He turned violent, and it was literal overkill. This had happened 10 years ago. All those years at that garden center, I had been seeing a ghost. What am I supposed to do with this information? Wouldn't make sense if I went to the police. How would I explain this? A ghost had been appearing to me for years, and she told me what happened to her? Pete killed her? No one would believe me. First of all, no one would believe that Pete could hurt a fly, me included. Second, no one would believe that I was told this by the spirit of his dead wife. I want to get justice for her, but I don't know how to go about it. Help me. I'm the only person who can do anything. I know what happened to Mrs. Hollin.